It's literally in the theme song. Look all you want, but don't touch the hair. And she violated the first rule of Winx.
Oh my gosh. Chloe, you just blew my mind.
Hey there, welcome to the Winx Forever Podcast. Join creator, host, and lifelong Winx fan Lola Valentine as she invites you to take a deep dive into the very cool universe of Winx Club. So, whether you've been a Winx fan since 2004, or you vaguely remember the show from your childhood, or if you're being introduced to it for the first time, welcome! This is the Winx Forever Podcast.
Hello, fellow Winxers. Welcome back to the Winx Forever Podcast. I am your host, Lola Valentine. This week, we are diving into Season 1, Episode 12, Miss Magix, known widely in the fandom as the forbidden episode of Season 1. Yes, so we will get into why that is exactly later on in the show, but helping me deep dive into this episode this week is my very cool friend, Chloe, or you might know her as her cosplay handle on Instagram and her YouTube channel, Closet Chloe Cosplay. That is such a tongue twister.
I am so sorry. I thought it was catchy.
No, it's very catchy. We love alliteration.
Huge fan.
It's great. Yes. Well, Chloe, welcome to the show. Oh my goodness.
I know. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome. So happy to have you. Since it's your first time on the show, I do love giving my first time guests a chance to let our audience get to know them a little better and get to know kind of your Winxer history. So I'd love to know, do you remember the first time that you ever saw Winx Club and what kind of got you into the show?
I can't pinpoint the exact day and time. I know it came out in 2004. I was 9 years old, so I definitely around that time. What helped a lot with me getting into it is that it was right next to Sonic X in the 4Kids lineup. So Winx was on at 7:30 and Sonic X was on at 8. So I would always end up catching Winx while waiting for Sonic. So it kind of just worked out that way.
Absolutely.
But I was drawn in pretty quickly by the sparkly outfits and all the magic and sparkles. And I just loved it. But I remember when the quote-unquote series finale came out, I wasn't like you and investigated to find out if that was actually the case. I was kind
of just accepted it as it was.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, bye then. I did see the Nickelodeon dub come out later on, but I was kind of towards the end of high school. I was like, something's off about this version.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm too old for it anyway. I'll just skip that one. But eventually I rewatched the series a couple of years ago for about 6 months. I binged, at the time, 7 seasons plus World of Winx. The reason why it took me 6 months is because I would usually do 2 episodes a day while I was at the gym.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome.
That's usually how I watch my cartoons.
That is a great like way to spend your gym time, honestly. Like, what a great way to pass the time.
It makes it more bearable just going to the gym in general, but it also helps you to actually get more content in.
Yeah, definitely. I love that idea. That's a great pro tip, honestly. What do you think has kept you engaged with Winx Club for all of these years? I mean, sheesh, it's been 18 years now since it premiered.
Honestly, I didn't really get back into the fandom until I started cosplaying from Winx. Bloom had been a dream cosplay of mine for a while, but at the time I started cosplaying back in 2013, the skill set just was not there. But eventually I figured out that if I got a tunic dress off Amazon, cut it in 2, then I could kind of work with that and turn it into Bloom's Magic Winx outfit. So I did that. And then that's how I found other Winx cosplayers on social media and eventually got to meet some at conventions. And that was my way back into the fandom. Because before that, Winx was just one of those shows that I thought I was the only person who saw and nobody else in the world knew what that was.
Yes, because shout out American Winx fans.
Nobody else at school watched 4Kids.
Right. Yeah. Why would they? It was a very niche, public access channel that only came on early Saturday mornings.
Right.
Oh, what a time. What a time.
A simpler time.
Yes. Simpler time indeed. I mean, before the internet, it was fresh on, getting onto the internet, wild time growing up, especially as an American Winxer. Like you said, we didn't have the community, growing up with the Winx fans, it was just us, and we kind of thought that we were the only ones that knew about it.
The book fair in school one year, and that was probably the most exciting part of my elementary school life. I don't have them anymore, unfortunately, but it was a nice memory. It's like, okay, I'm validated.
Someone else in the world knows about this show. Yes. That's incredible. Well, your handle is Closet Chloe Cosplay. You cosplay, obviously. When was the first time, like what got you into cosplaying, and what was the first character that you ever cosplayed?
I first got into it because my sister started doing it a couple of years before I did. She doesn't do it so much anymore because she's mainly an artist who sells in the dealer's room, but seeing her cosplaying convention photos, they looked like a lot of fun, so I wanted to try it. My very first cosplay was a store-bought Sailor Moon that I got for my birthday. Amazing. It's not very good, but I made it work for the time. The first one I ever threw together myself was a very closet cosplayed rarity. No horn, no ears, just a white dress, purple wig, and a little cutie mark bun that you can't really see in pictures. So
yes, Rarity from My Little Pony. We love. I still am the biggest My Little Pony fan. But yeah, I absolutely love that. So when you say closet cosplay, explain to us what that is.
Oh, it's basically when you make a costume using stuff you either have out of your wardrobe or can buy secondhand off of places like Mercari, eBay, or just your local thrift stores. It's a great gateway into learning how to make your own stuff if your sewing skills aren't quite there yet, or if you're just experimenting with cosplay and don't want to do a huge money sink into the hobby. So it's a great way to get started and kind of get your feet wet into the hobby. So I did that for I still kind of do that now, but I mostly did that for a couple of years. Then late 2019, I won a sewing machine in a giveaway through Joann's, which is a whole other story.
That's really cool.
so then after that, I started sewing and making my own stuff.
Nice. Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that because it's such a good, like, low barrier of entry, like, for people that want to kind of experiment with, like, dressing up as their favorite characters and finding things that are similar. It's kind of like Disney bounding. Yeah. Bounding as, dressing up as outfits that are inspired by, different characters. But I love that because it's so accessible and imaginative and creative. And I love it. I'm actually working on my own little closet cosplay right now.
It teaches you to be resourceful, that's for sure.
It really does. And so I've been on the search for a like blue and white striped, just like a random, like either quarter length or long sleeve shirt that I could cosplay as Bloom season 2/3. Like, it's just like really fun to like look for things out in the wild to see like what inspires you or like reminds you of a said character. And I'm also working on another one. I'm working on a Myrta one because I have my, my pumpkin shirt. Yeah, I have my pumpkin shirt already. So yeah, I just need like a black jean skirt, some leggings, a belt, a little vest, and then I'm good to go.
Easy to find.
Yeah,
You'll
exactly.
find them in stores. Poshmark's your friend, Mercari's your friend, eBay's your friend, Amazon's your friend.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. What has been one of your favorite cosplays you have ever made?
As far as Winx cosplays go, definitely my Believe It Stella that I made back in 2019. Because at the time, that was the most advanced build that I'd ever done. Pretty much everything was fabric dyed. It took me almost 2 months to make the wings, which are probably still my favorite costume piece that I've made ever.
Yes.
I know the Magic Winx outfit that Miyusagi and I made for Fate of Winx is objectively better, but I did have some help with that, so it's not quite the same.
Yes.
But I still love both equally. As far as non-Winx cosplays go, my favorite would have to be Zero Suit Samus because that was the very first one I made completely from scratch.
Yes.
The foam work was tedious. The sewing was frustrating at times because things just didn't fit. The machine didn't want to work with me some nights, but seeing how it all came together in photos and just looking at it at the con, it made all of those struggles worth it. And to top it off, I won my first craftsmanship contest with that build.
Wow.
But when I say Samus is my favorite, I do mean more like right now she's my favorite, but I am close to finishing a Sailor V build, and I think that one already beats it. So
yes.
I'm very excited for that
so
one.
exciting. Yes. Oh wow. That sounds awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that one once it's finished.
Thank you. I'm going to do a full cos test sometime next week. I'm super excited about it because I had to learn a lot of new techniques and try new things that I didn't do before, like using horsehair braid and resin casting, and using interfacing for the bows. It's like, I'm doing all these things that I never thought I could do when I started cosplaying 9 years ago.
Yeah, and that's really cool. And what I love about these different avenues of creativity is being able to challenge yourself, in different ways. Per project, like finding a project and being like, okay, this I'm going to challenge myself, in a new area. And that's kind of how Winx Forever Podcast became a thing, because I'd never done a full podcast and I was like, I wonder, if I could. And now here we are 3 seasons later. So I really love that, being able to challenge yourself creatively. And it's such a special thing.
It is, and it's a good creative outlet, something that I don't usually get in my normal day job where I have to be more objective.
Yes, definitely. Well, do you have any advice for anyone that is maybe looking into cosplaying or getting started with cosplay?
Just do it. I mean, don't worry about not being the right height for the character, being the right body type for the character. It's really not a big deal. But I think people are probably more worried about how they look than how you look, so I would say just screw it and do it, because anybody who actually would care, aren't really worth your time anyway. And if you're worried that your first couple costumes aren't amazing, just remember that we all start somewhere, and that if you stick with it, your costumes 5 years down the road are going to be so much better than the things that you make right now. But even what you still make is still going to be amazing, just because it's yours and you put effort into it. So yeah, just rip the Band-Aid off and just go.
Yes, I love it. Just go. Just do it. That's such good advice. Thank you. Awesome. Well, we are going to take a short break, but before we do, I've got some rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
My body is ready.
All right, awesome. Here we go. Favorite Winx member?
Stella.
Favorite season?
I like 1 for the story, 3 for the character development.
Favorite specialist or male warrior?
Brandon.
Favorite movie?
Secret of the Lost Kingdom. I had no idea what was going on in the other 2.
Did anyone? Favorite transformation?
I'm going to say Believix. I know Enchantix is kind of the gimme, the be-all, end-all, but outside of Enchantix, I like Believix the most.
Yes. Favorite romantic relationship?
Flora and Helia.
And then favorite villain?
I'm going to say Season 3 Valtor. I have to specify because if you watch Season 8, you'll know that Season 8 Valtor is pretty mid. But of the Tricks, Darcy is my favorite.
Oh, she's so good. Awesome. Well, that is all I have for rapid fire questions. You did great.
Yay, I passed.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to discuss the infamous Forbidden Season 1. Season 1, Episode 12, Miss Magix. So don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the Winx Forever Podcast. If you're enjoying this episode of the Winx Forever Podcast, follow the show on your favorite streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released.
And we are back with Closet Chloe Cosplay. She is joining us this week to discuss Season 1, Episode 12, Miss Magix, the infamous Forbidden episode of the Winx Club franchise. And we're just gonna dive in. So I mentioned in a couple of episodes ago that this is one of the only episodes that it is the same title across all dubs. It is called Miss Magix.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. The synopsis reads, Stella, instead of revisiting the subjects for the midterm exams, prefers to brave the witches in Miss Magix, a beauty contest taking place in downtown Magix. She fails her exams and has to study very seriously for the final examination to avoid repeating the year again.
Well, she passes in the 4Kids dub, so when I watched the Cinnalink version, I was floored. It's like, aw,
I know. Same, honestly.
She barely passed in the 4Kids version.
I know. And I thought that was very funny, you know, that like, one, I mean, she's already been held back a grade, like, already. She's already a year older than, you know, all the other Winx Club members. But like, the fact that like, in the right English, yeah, when that happened, I was like, huh? You know, like, what? Like, I can't believe that.
The one downside to 4Kids changing it is like, yes, while it's a happier ending, it kind of shows like no consequences. Woo!
I know. And that was one of the things that I really liked about this episode was that, yeah, in the original version that it does show the Winx Club actually reaping, you know, what they sowed. Like, they do have consequences to skipping school and, you know, not studying for their exam and stuff. And that was one of the things, to your point, that I loved about the original. Interesting
because in the 4Kids dub, we see and hear the specialists having consequences for their shenanigans in the Black Mud Swan episode, but not the Winx.
Right, exactly.
Because they have protagonist powers.
Yes, clearly, first main character energy. But let's get into the episode, kind of break it down scene by scene. So this episode opens up, the original version opens up with Bloom and Brandon with blonde hair in the city of Magix, and they are hanging out along with their pets, Lady, Brandon's dog, and Kiko, Bloom's bunny. Bloom was telling Brandon kind of about her dreams, and he, unlike their last date in the previous episode, was actually like, you know, not the previous episode, but 2 episodes ago. But he was actually very attentive to what she was saying and not trying to make it about him, which was nice. But he, you know, found that her dreams were, you know, pretty incredible, that like this woman in her dreams are calling to her, you know, by name. And, you know, she says that her voice sounds familiar. But Bloom also tells him that she kind of looks familiar too, but she doesn't really know why. She then goes on to explain that these dreams occur every night and that it is almost like building off of each other, like she's watching like an episodic like series in her dreams, which is kind of really cool, because it's like as we're watching it, like it's just true. That's true. You just gotta go to sleep and it's right there. But she then, you know, tells him that she's not sure why that these occur, that she wonders, you know, why she even has magical powers and why, you know, her powers come so naturally to her. Yeah, I guess that's like, you know, like a mini flex, but whatever. But she also tells him that she feels like the woman in her dreams is trying to tell her something, and that she mentioned that when she went to go investigate in the Althea library to research about her, that there were a lot of different books about Daphne. But then when she returned, that they were all gone because freaking Farragonda told Barbara Taya to clean out all of the books so that Bloom wouldn't know anything about her past, because that's not
it's too early. We need 10 more episodes.
Yes, truly. So Brandon thinks up of a way, you know, and decides that he's going to ask Timmy for help, his very nerdy, you know, friend that is like Techna's specialist counterpart. And he's going to ask him for his assistance, and his dog is like kind of pulling on, you know, her leash. And so he has to like, you know, tell Bloom bye. And that's the end of that scene.
You sort of get yanked around by women a lot.
Yikes. That is a foreshadow in and of itself. Like, my gosh. But growing up with the 4Kids dub, you and I didn't ever get this scene.
No, I remember it starting with Palladium in the lab with the simulator.
Yeah. And which is crazy because in the 4Kids dub, that would make this scene, like cutting this scene out, that makes this whole episode very slice of life, very filler, you know?
I mean, still kind of slice of life-ish in the fact that, in the sense that nothing happens, but it's kind of like a reminder of like, yes, there is a plot still here.
Yes, exactly. And we might get it at the very first of the episode, but it's there. Yeah, definitely. Super, super funny. I do like, this scene, and I wish that it was in the original 4Kids, because it does give, that, glimpse into Sky and Bloom's relationship even further.
Do you think they took it out to kind of take the spotlight off Bloom for a little bit? Because this is more of a Stella-centered episode.
That's a good point. Maybe, potentially, because first season, obviously all the seasons are very Bloom centric. So, and I think that 4Kids did a very good job of like removing Bloom from the narrative at some points to, give the other girls some screen time. Just a little bit like that is a really good point. But I mean, the scene being in this episode really does set up for in 2 episodes where Brandon and Bloom go to Cloud Tower to find out more about Bloom's powers. Yeah. So that is what, this scene is doing, because in 2 episodes we'll find out later that, Timmy helped him, get the lowdown on how to get into Cloud Tower and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that it's really funny that the 4Kids left it out. So the next scene is at Althea, and we are in the main simulator room. Yeah. Like the room outside of the simulator room. So I guess like the lecture hall, like outside of the simulator room. And Palladium announces to the students that the simulator, that was destroyed previously by Bloom, yes, has been completely repaired and it's ready to resume testing. And so he then lists out the names of the students who all need to take the test, which isn't it else,
basically
everyone? Literally. He was like, here's the remaining people that need to take the test. I'm like, Bloom literally was the only person.
She's the only one who could have gone because she broke it.
Exactly. So literally you could have just said, all right, you didn't even have to list out everybody, but whatever, Palladium, it's fine. It's super funny. But then Priscilla and another student start getting nervous, but then Luna is not fazed at all by this and tries to calm everyone down, leading Priscilla to remind her that she's always studying compared to the rest of the class, which is so this little moment was so funny to me because we never get this from any 4Kids dub, sequences.
No, we don't. It's we assume they're always studying because they're not main characters.
Yes, exactly. We never hear side dialogue from side characters. I loved this because that was so unique. I
think an episode with just the side characters would have been nice.
In My Little Pony, when they did the fan service side character episode, because I loved that.
Yeah, just to see what everyone else is doing when the Winx are off doing their thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I know I've said this before, but I would have hated to have been at school at Althea at the same time that the Winx were because I could imagine no one likes the Winx Club. They're oh, there's the Winx again, causing mayhem, making Griselda put different rules in place for everyone else just because they broke one rule one time,
it's the Winx are the Avengers and the rest of the school are the people dealing with all the destruction that comes from each battle.
Literally, yes. Palladium looks about the students and notices that Stella is missing and presumes that she is trying to avoid taking the test. But then Bloom, like a good best friend, explains that Stella told her that she didn't feel well that morning and she actually went to the infirmary. So Palladium wishes her well and that she feels better and that she actually has a lot of assignments that she needs to make up for. And so then he begins Flora's test. And Flora steps into the simulator and chooses the option of revoking sadness brought by the witch's magic, which she in the previous episode, obviously was making the remedy with the cheerful gladiolus, which is, I love that continuation from last episode to this episode. Was really, really sweet. So yeah,
I agree with that. They were good with that, with the writing.
Yes, definitely. And that was something that was missing from the 4Kids dub, because in the 4Kids dub, that, you know, that's not why she went to Black Mud Swamp. She was trying to come up with, you know, a potion to protect them from the witches, like from the tricks. And not, it had nothing to do with like studying or the simulator or anything. So Chloe, tell us what happens next.
Bloom stops by the infirmary. The head nurse asks Bloom if there was something wrong. Bloom tells her she's okay, but wonders if Stella was in here. The nurse explains that Bloom is the first person to have entered the infirmary and considers this odd because there are exams going on. Bloom thanks her and leaves. So Bloom is more like the gullible best friend than just the best friend.
I know. It's so sweet because that is very much like, you know, it is so like Bloom, like just to assume the best of everybody, you know, and we love that. We love that about Bloom, you know. It is kind of like a Mary Sue quality, but like we still love it.
It's cute.
It is. Then she, you know, returns to the dorm, and the other girls are relaxing in the living room when Bloom tells them that she found out that Stella was not sick at all, that she didn't even go. Yes. Yeah. Real shocker. Like, I wonder if like all the other Winx were like, yeah, Bloom, you didn't catch that just from context clues. Like, come on. Like, even Palladium knew. Like, she ain't slick, you know? Like,
it's like
so funny.
He's an elf. They live a really long time. He's seen tons of students just like her. Tons
of them. Exactly. And even the infirmary nurse is like, yeah, I'm surprised that you are the only person that I've seen today, because it's exam time. And usually in exam time, you know, the infirmary is full of quote unquote sick people, you know, and like, it's everywhere, Bloom. Like, stop assuming the best of everyone. Clearly, Stella is not the best right now.
Even before this, she was never the best student.
No. I mean, she is held back here, so.
Yeah, she did blow up an entire lab just to try to make a new color pink.
Yeah. But Flora mentions that the test wasn't even that difficult, and then Tecna says that running away will not solve anything, and eventually she will have to take the test. Clearly, yes, Tecna, thank you for pointing it out. Yes, truly. But then Bloom wonders, you know, where on earth Stella was when she, you know, goes to investigate in Stella's room, and then Stella comes in behind her and tells her that that her new talks about her new perfume, which was funny because in the 4Kids dub, she wasn't talking about her perfume. She was talking. She said, "Have you ever gotten an oil treatment, Bloom? It's like a facial for your hair."
Oh yeah, I remember this. And then she comes in all dressed up. It's like, time for a filler arc.
Yes. I love it so much.
I will say Stella had some pretty on point fashion in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
All of her outfits were very cute, very cosplayable.
They were very cosplayable, very cute. And I loved, like, you know, one of the Genio's, like, goals with Winx Club was to show, like, real life, like, you know, teenagers not wearing the same exact thing, you know, and throughout the season. And so with this episode, like, clearly, like, you know, he gave Stella so many good looks, like, in this episode, and we love it. We love, you know, fashion is like one of the, you know, biggest things, like, you know,
and it's one of her things.
Absolutely. So yeah, I love that. But Stella, you know, explains to the Winx that the Miss Magix contest is underway in downtown Magix, and Stella's I
mean, she didn't know about this months in advance.
I know. Hello.
Because that's kind of how beauty pageants work.
Truly. So Stella's attention is all on, you know, the competition, and she intends to win because the previous year and years prior, apparently, that she had been so close to winning, but
she's first runner-up, I think.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So Tecna is the first to scold her for putting her priorities on the beauty pageant and not school. We love that. We love Tecna. But seeing as the other girls, you know, don't plan to support her in this, Stella tries to, like, persuade them.
roll for persuasion. Roll.
Yes. And so she tells them that, like,
if they help her win the contest, then she promises to study really, really hard.
Right. And what's really funny is that, like, in the 4Kids dub, Tekna is like, why would you want to participate in something when, you know, all that matters is how you look? And then I love what Stella says about it. She's like, it's not just about looks, it's about grace and personality. And then she turns to Bloom. Obviously, Bloom is like the weakest link out of all of them, because she's like, Bloom, I really need your help with this. It's important to me. It's what I'm best at, which is so cute that, like, Stella, like, in the 4Kids dub is like, I'm good. Like, I know my strengths. Like, I'm good at being pretty and owning that, you know, like, let me try to win this thing, and I promise, like, you know, I'll study. And so Bloom obviously agrees to help her, which is so cute in the 4Kids dub, because she's like, okay, if it means that much to you, you know, like,
and she's got
it's just,
face, like,
I know, it's so cute. It's so
adorable,
cute.
But it's like, oh, totally the wrong choice, but we're just gonna go with it.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, she's clearly not in it to win it if she waits till the week of to start planning for it. Like, the only reason she gets as far as she does is because she's got the plot armor.
True. That's true. So when Stella tells the Winx that, you know, the event is in downtown Magix, was it Tekna that's like, well, you know, whenever we go downtown, like, you know, we run into the tricks and it's not a great time, you know?
And of course, Stella's like, oh, it's not going to be like that this time. Narrator, it was in fact going to be like that this time.
It was, in fact, yes. Absolutely. But meanwhile, at Cloud Tower, Myrta and Lucy are in their dorms as Myrta is trying to talk some sense into Lucy about asking the Tricks to use their magic, which is forbidden, to win the Miss Magix contest. And Lucy obviously won't listen to reason. She's only concerned about winning the contest in order to finally become well-known amongst everyone. And Myrta, you know, wants to understand. She, like, is trying to, like, you know, like, meet her in the middle here. Yes, honestly. But, you know, Myrta doesn't get it. She's like, why can't I just be enough? You know, like, why do you want to be popular? Why do you want, you know, the attention of all these other people that clearly don't care, you know, care as much as don't care as much as she does.
Also, you're a witch. Why would you want to be in a sparkly, pretty beauty pageant thingy? Like,
I know.
You think the Cloud Tower girls would stay as far away from that as possible, because it's just... it's too girly.
Right, exactly. And, like, in Lucy, like, she's very, you know, like, tomboy and kind of, like, you know, like, rough around the edges. So, yeah, for her to be like, oh, make me this bubblegum little, like, princess and make me win, you know, this fairy competition. You know, like, it's just, it's crazy. But Lucy obviously gets irritated and storms off. And she's saying that she doesn't need Myrta's support or, like, her telling her what to do. And, like, Myrta's just, you know, hanging down, like, and very sad. And it's really sad. And, like, in the 4Kids version, it was a little different because Lucy's motives were a lot different, because she's like, I want to just be popular and I want to hang out with the Tricks, and Icy has, you know, the spell that can, you know, that can help me, and you know, it's so sad because, you know, I'm sure growing up, you know, we've all known someone kind of like this that is just doesn't see, you know, the good in their lives, that are just, you know, looking for, you know, validation in something else. And it's sad.
I used to be that kid, so I can relate.
Yeah. And you know, maybe, you know, all of us have been that way, you know, at some point in our angsty teen lives, you know, like, it's relatable and it's sad, and you know, we're just like, oh no, Lucy, like, you have Myrta's great.
You're doing so well.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see even the witches at Cloud Tower have their own friendship problems and stuff.
Yes, honestly, because, yeah, it's not just confined to fairy problems, and that's really nice to see. What kind of happens next in the episode, Chloe?
Nighttime finally arrives, and the Winx arrive at the place the contest is being held. The girls, except for Stella, feel that this will not end well, but Stella tells them not to worry and runs excitedly up into the venue. In the hallway, Icy, Darcy, and Stormy are already there. Stormy complains about coming here until Icy tells them her plan to make Lucy into a beautiful girl and then remove the spell and shame her in front of the entire audience. Then they cast the spell on Lucy and off they go. But I remember it was so funny. It's like, girls, we're going to do a good deed today. And then the other two got that Michael Scott face, like, nope, don't like that.
Yes, literally, yes. It's so funny because it's like, we're here to like do like, you know, something good for someone. And they're like, who are you and what have you done with Icy? Like,
but in the 4Kids version, the motives were very different.
Yes, yeah, it was, because, I mean, let's face it, it's the tricks. They're senior witches. They're way past just these like petty little pranks. You know, these 3 witches are out to take over the universe. Like, they don't have time to like, you know, meddle with like these little freshmen pixies and witches. So in the 4Kids version, yeah, their motives are completely different. They are actually like, you know, Lucy had agreed to do all of their tricks as homework.
If they're 3rd years, why would you want a 1st year doing your homework? Because she's not as academically progressed as the rest of them. So like, I don't know what the grading rubric at Cloud Tower looks like, but if their homework gets sent in for grading, tricks are going to have some problems.
I mean, truly, but like, honestly, I think that school is the least of their worries right now. Like, they are off to bigger and better things. So like, they're like,
we just need an education.
Yes, it is. It is still important. But as you're taking over the world, like obviously they just wanted someone to like cash in, you know, just their assignments, just to like, you know, say that they're done so that they can.
Like my school where they just go around, check notebooks to make sure you actually did it and not actually look at it. Exactly.
So like, so that's the first thing that they get out of this deal. And then to sweeten the deal for the tricks to even consider doing this is that they want to completely crush Stella's little hopes and dreams. Yes, literally. Very
on brand for them.
Very on brand. So they're like, oh, we get to like have our homework done for the rest of the year and also like mess with like our least favorite fairy. Like, let's do it. So they make Lucy, you know, this beautiful contestant for the Miss Magix contest. But we are about to get into the problematic scene of this episode. Even though we are 2 white women, we know that this is wrong. Like, we know that like why this is problematic, and even in 2004, 4Kids knew that it was problematic because they cut it out entirely. They changed it.
So that it was the voice that was the problem, and not the hair.
Yeah, so for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, basically the Winx are waiting in Stella's dressing room while Flora and Musa give Stella some beauty treatments, and they hear someone crying in the hallway. Bloom goes to investigate, and she discovers that it's one of the contestants. She's crying because her hair has been quote unquote ruined, and she's too upset to participate. The participant talks about how normally her hair is straight, but here we see that she's actually like got a very large blown out afro. And so clearly already this is pretty problematic. But Rainbow decides to take it a step further because why the heck not? Then Bloom, because I mean, I don't know why you would ever have the urge to do this, because rude. Like, were you raised in a barn? But Bloom extends her hand to touch the girl's hair, and like it upsets the girl and she runs off crying. Clearly, like that is, you know, a no touch zone. Like you don't do that. Just don't touch other people. Like, keep your hands to yourself.
It's literally in the theme song. Look all you want, but don't touch the hair. And she violated the first rule of Winx.
Oh my gosh. Chloe, you just blew my mind. You're so right. I mean, clearly that's the 4Kids. That is the 4Kids, dub theme song. But I mean, yeah, it's clearly maybe that was throwing some shade at the original. like honestly. I'm blown away by that. That's so funny. But yeah, like clearly, like this was a very problematic scene that 4Kids decide to completely alter. So instead of they removed the part that Bloom extends her hand out to touch the contestant's hair. That was completely omitted, thank God. But then also instead of the contestant crying over her hair, she was crying because she said a spell wrong and her voice was actually messed up. She kind of sounded like a chicken.
I was thinking Minnie Mouse, but yes.
That's hilarious.
Either way, not what she wanted.
Yes, clearly not what she wanted. So that's
Stella's like, it's not that bad.
Yes, I know. Well, it's funny because the girls peek their head around, the corner, and Stella's like, "Oh, that's awful." And then that's when, the contestant in the 4Kids episode like runs away crying, and then Stella's trying to be like, "Oh wait, no, I didn't mean it. It's really not that bad." and then the girl runs. I know, God, poor Stella. Like she means so well, and then she has like little faux pas like that, and it's just like, girl, get it together.
Right? Like I want to think that the entire creative team just had a huge collective brain fart when writing this bit, but it's like it's not even something where you could just put up a little disclaimer and be like, oh, this is a product of its time. It was 2004. It was
2004, and clearly, like I said, it wasn't a product of its time because 4Kids had the sense enough to cut it out. Like. Clearly, it was just a complete, like, utter, just failure by the Rainbow production team because, like, it's tone deaf. It's completely yes. It's so inconsiderate, and I mean it was it missed the mark, and it's really unfortunate that this episode had been stained by such a problematic scene.
It was my favorite Phil episode. They had to go and ruin it with racism.
I know. What the hell? Like it, so clearly, like, I'm glad that they have chosen, honestly, to remove this episode from the series because, that should not be tolerated. And I can't believe that it was tolerated for so long in the series. But I do wish that they had just gone the 4Kids route and stuck with the 4Kids edited episode because obviously that is the one we grew up with, and that is the one that I'm sure
to make it not as offensive.
Right, 1,000%. I mean, it was a backfired spell that made her voice sound very high pitched. Like, absolutely, that's so much better than clearly what the original was. So, yeah, sigh.
On a lighter note, though, Stella having her own dressing room was definitely the least realistic part of the episode for me because I competed in a beauty pageant once and it was a communal changing room.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Dressing room? Really?
Well, I mean, she is the princess of Solaria. And it is, too, like, the Miss Magix contest is very much equated to me to, like, Miss Universe,
Magic Universe.
Yes, literally, truly.
I did notice in the 4Kids dub, they kind of had more of that setup because they called them by their planet names versus just their own names. Whereas in the Cinnamon dub, they're just, Miss Stella, Miss Heidi. So it's kind of more like a local event.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so that's what I loved about the 4Kids dub was that, it gave this very like realism to it, I guess, of like, oh, of course, these are like, the contestants of their own home planets. And I thought that was so cool.
It's like, so did she have to win a prelim?
Right, yeah, truly. Yeah, of course Stella is Miss Solaria because she is the princess of Solaria. It makes total sense. Not biased at all, contestant judges. Anyway.
Here's like $50.
Yes, exactly. But the contest begins, and the contestants are all introduced. Like Chloe said, they're introduced in the 4Kids dub by the name of their home realms instead of just their first names like they are in the original dubbing. And when Lucy is introduced, the audience are just taken back by her beauty. And this obviously upsets Stella because she is here, she's in it to win it. So when Bloom, walks up and is trying to be like very nice, and friendly towards Lucy,
just storms off.
Yeah, she just kind of storms off, and so Bloom is like,
"Oh, that's weird. People from Popularis are usually very friendly."
Something's up.
I think that was just a 4Kids version, only dialogue though.
Yes, yeah, it was, and I loved that the made up realm that they came up with for Lucy was Miss Popularis because she wants to be popular.
So Popularis isn't even real.
I know. What if though? Like, what if that was part of their spell? That like it was like clearly like a made up realm, but like part of their spell was it made other people think that Popularis was a real realm.
Some good world building.
Ooh, yeah, thank you. We have to fill in where we can, because we don't get a lot of it in the series.
Yeah. But this is a fun scene though.
Yes, definitely.
When the trick sabotages all of the performances.
Yes, we love it.
Did a really good montage of it with that goofy song.
Yes, Mean Girls are popular. Mean Girls are cool. Mean Girls are icy cold. That's why the Mean Girls are. I love it. It was the best. Like the best
use of that song.
It truly was. We hear it for the first time in the Day of the Rose episode when Darcy is racing, to get Riven, but like. I mean, in this episode, it just takes the cake. It's so good. But yeah, so obviously the tricks sabotage all of the contestants' talent portions, except for Lucy. Lucy does a nice, ballet routine. Yeah. And so when they go to sabotage Stella, it actually fails because Stella...
She's just too good. She's got the plot armor.
She's the plot armor. I can't with that because it's so true.
I liked it so much better in the 4Kids stuff because when they introduced it as, the dance of the Western Moon of Solaria, I was like, oh, that's so cool. It was like a Wild West version of Solaria. It's like, this kingdom ain't big enough for the two of us.
Absolutely.
In the Cinnaloom dub, it's like, oh, this is the dance of happiness. And I'm just like, that is this.
Yes, like,
what is this?
The what?
And then they even continued it with when she talks backwards, like, hello, I am very happy. It's like, where's the stuff? It was cute. She's like, she said that she wants to help underprivileged princesses, which is very cute and very pageanty.
Yes, 1000% Can you imagine, like, what is an underprivileged princess, Stella?
It's Blue.
And you know what? She does end up helping her. In the series. So she kind of does fulfill her duties as Miss Magix. That's so funny. I love that so much. One of the things that I absolutely loved in the 4Kids version of this part of the episode was, I can't remember the girl's name, the contestant's name, but she was blue and she had the fur coat.
Oh, it wasn't an aquatic sounding name, was it?
I think that it was, but it was contestant number 4 because she was doing quote unquote swimsuit modeling in the original. Which
up until a couple of years ago was a standard part of pageant competitions.
Right.
I think Miss America and Miss Teen USA did away with it a few years ago and they replaced it with athletic wear. I think Miss USA still does it, or they only just got rid of it recently, but.
Right. Yeah. But so in the original version, the contestant number 4, she's blue. She has blue skin. She's wearing a fur coat over her swimsuit. And like almost this like burlesque music is playing. You're like, excuse me. But in the 4Kids version, the announcer / host of the contest shares that.
Dan Green.
Yes. Shout out Dan Green. We love Tangerine so much.
He's so good.
He's so freaking good. He shares with the audience that this contestant is from an aquatic realm, and this is actually her first time walking on two legs. Which is really cool. I love that exposition for this background character, you know?
Hopefully she didn't make a deal with Ursula and gets to keep the legs even though she lost.
What if? Literally, what if? I mean, yeah.
It's like, sorry, but this isn't your story.
You do not have. Yes, you do not have main character energy. What do you call it?
Plot armor.
Plot armor. You don't have plot armor. Sorry, contestant number 4. Absolutely amazing. Also, earlier in the episode, like obviously, like it was when the girls were walking up to the nightclub that the contest is being held at. Stella mentions that, like it's okay, Farragonda and Griselda won't catch us here, whatever.
They're in the audience.
Crowd. Yeah, and that never gets addressed in either dub. Hello? Why is Farragonda and Griselda in the audience? What?
It's like they had to have recognized Stella.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And the fact that, the tricks were there. And, it was just all, yes. What?
Mine would have been either one or both of them were former Miss Magix title holders, and we're just coming to, just to watch the next generation.
Yo, yeah. What if? I love that. I love that one. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I wonder if that was going to be part of the plot line, but like maybe it was cut for like time purposes. But honestly.
If they cut the Bloom and Sky date, they could have fit it in.
Yeah, but like that's true. But it wasn't even addressed in the original either. So yeah, so I just maybe
they figured Stella will face some consequences when she fails her midterm.
Yeah, maybe. But the contest comes to an end, and the winner obviously is announced as Lucy.
Of course.
And as she is awarded the crown of the new Miss Magix, Icy undoes the spell, and Lucy is humiliated and runs off the stage crying. And then Stella, who was announced as the runner-up, becomes the real winner of Miss Magix, which, in the 4Kids episode, it's
actually
not...
Bloom who breaks the spell.
Exactly.
Like, if there's magic here, reveal it now, shows it's real when she takes a bow, and then...
Yes. And I love those offhand, like, spells that they cast. Yeah. Like, they're so good.
Why do you think they changed that, though? Do you think it was to either give the Winx more of a reason to be there or to possibly downplay the Trix' ruthlessness? Although, why would you want to do that? Because the Trix are at their best when they're at their worst.
Right. Yes. I don't know. Because the only thing I can think of is in the 4Kids dub, them changing the motives of the Trix, was obviously because when they get up and start to leave the club, Icy in the 4Kids dub says,
she's still doing our homework.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, even though she lost, she's still gonna do our homework. But yeah, I don't know. That's so interesting. Ugh, crazy.
Stella is overjoyed to be crowned Miss Magix, and as she plans to celebrate with her friends, manicures and milkshakes, anyone? Bloom reminds her that Stella needs to cram for the exam as promised. It's like, do you have a coughing problem? Do you have a memory problem?
I love that. I love the dialogue here and the
4Kids Bloom delivered it a little better in my opinion, but
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
The next day, Stella takes her test, deciding to finish what Bloom started by picking Domino as the planet she's going to work on. But because of her lack of attention of what she was doing due to fatigue of pulling an all-nighter, Stella added too much of a grass-growing formula. She got trapped and unfortunately failed the test. Bloom encourages her that she still has time to catch up on her grades. The girls then get excited about the upcoming summer break. Yay!
Yay! Which is funny. Is it? Do they call it summer break in the original? Because I thought it was just spring break, but maybe it is summer break.
Mine on the Cinnalum dub is just, our vacation's about to start.
So that's all it said. That's funny. But as we've said, obviously in this episode, that in the 4Kids dub, Stella actually passes her exam. Yeah, and but I do love that in the original that it shows the Winx. Yes, it shows the Winx failing.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
I know, like it truly is like just as important, just as it's important to see your heroes or heroine in this instance, succeeding, is just as important to see them failing and how they deal with that. And I love that Winx Club as a franchise, doesn't shy away from that in the early seasons of Winx Club. So we won't talk about the later seasons of Winx Club because that's not what we're here to do right now.
Yeah. We're here to talk about the good episodes.
The golden era. Yes, definitely. So looking at some major events, which is really funny because, I mean, there's not a lot of like major plot events that happen in this episode, as we have, mentioned, as kind of a filler slice of life episode. With the exception of, Brandon decides to help Bloom find answers, regarding Daphne and her past, or like, her origins, like who she is.
Which is more of a teaser for
right.
next couple episodes.
Yes. And then Flora and Tekna and Misa all pass their midterm exams. Other major events, Stella obviously signs up for Miss Magic's beauty pageant and wins.
Stella fails her midterm.
Yeah, Stella fails her midterm, or, depending on which version you watch, passes it. And then obviously it leads us right into the next episode, talking about their vacation is about to begin, because the next episode is Bloom recounting what happened over her break. So yeah, so some fun facts about this episode. This is the third episode in season 1 where no one transforms. The first episode being the Blackman Swamp, and the second episode being the Friends in Need, the grounded episode where they don't have their powers.
Only episode that has the same title across the board, which you mentioned earlier.
Yes. Obviously, we have already mentioned that in 2020, Rainbow officially removed all uploads of this episode except for the 4Kids version, which I think is now even removed from the Winx Club English channel on YouTube due to racial connotations in the scene where a girl's hair becomes a thicker afro in the Cinnalum version. However, this version is, I think that it might be removed now, but it was for a little bit longer available on Apple TV, and also obviously on Italian versions, DVDs, and on the replay. So at the end of every rewatch, we are discussing what our Winx Forever moment of the episode is. And this is, deciding what is the most Winx-tastic, like the most quintessential Winx moment for this episode. Chloe, what would yours be?
Mine would probably be either Stella during her performance or when she's crowned Miss Magix. Either of them. Either of those would be very cute, wholesome moments. Yes.
I think for me, it is the crowning of Miss Magix, because, I mean, obviously, like, it's, especially in the 4Kids dub, when Bloom helps reveal, Lucy to be an imposter, and she, obviously helps her friend in the process of, revealing the Trix's schemes. So yeah, I love
she's like, thanks, I hope to make you all very proud.
Yes, and then when she is in her simulator test, when she's like, don't worry, little planet, as your new Miss Magix, I'm here to save you.
Like, wait, no, stop growing.
I love it. And Palladium's like, Stella, what happened? She's like, I might have overdone it with the potion. It's like, girl, you think? Like, maybe a little too much.
Underdid it with the studying.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But that is the end of this episode. Wow, Chloe, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love this episode. I'm glad I was able to come on and talk about it.
Yes, definitely. Definitely will hold a special place in all of our, original Winxer hearts for sure. Those that remember it. I know it's a
filler episode, but it's a fun one.
Yes, definitely. Well, tell our audience where they can find you online, and maybe, what you've got going on.
Let's see. I'm at Closet Chloe Cosplay on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and YouTube. I'm at Closet_Chloe on Twitter, and then just Closet Chloe on Twitch. Not that I use that one very often, but I'm hoping to change that in the coming months.
Nice.
And yeah, stay tuned. I have a couple cons coming up. Hopefully I'll be competing again soon, so you can stay tuned for my Sailor V build, and also check out some of my other Winx cosplays, because I don't know, hopefully we'll start filming Fate of Winx very soon. We just got to finish up a few more outfits, but we should be ready to go soon, so I'm very excited about that.
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Well, cool. Well, thanks again for being on the show. Check out the description below to connect with Chloe on all the places. Next week, we are discussing the mid-season finale of Winx Club Season 1. And so tune in next week for that. Super exciting. So Chloe, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow or subscribe to the show on your preferred streaming platform to be notified when new episodes drop. Join in on the conversation when you follow at Winx Forever Podcast on social media. The theme for the Winx Forever podcast is the song She Makes Magic by Big Wild.